Speaking of reliability, a podcast with good friends talking with you about reliability engineering topics. Welcome to Speaking of Reliability. This is Fred Schenkelberg.
And this is Dianna Dini.
Hi, Dianna. We were just chatting, and I think I cut you off and said, oh, that might be a good topic. So I apologize for kind of being brusque about that. But you mentioned something about, it's kind of near the end of the school year for your kids and stuff, and you're signed up for a career day, and you're going in to talk about engineering. And I didn't catch what grade this was for the kids. What age are you talking to?
Oh, it is a 5th grade career day. And I did it a few years ago with my older kid, and now my younger kid is in 5th grade, and the call went out, hey, we're having a career day. So I signed right up.
So you're not going to be between the brain surgeon and the firefighter,
Yeah. And last time there was somebody that, they brought an old computer and the kids were tearing it apart. And there was a lot of, some of the career day parents really get into it.
Oh, wow. Well, that's cool. That sounds like fun, but it's also one of those things. It immediately reminded me of going into judge the science fair. Have you done that? Have you gotten a chance to?
I have not, but I have another friend that does that regularly, and he really likes it too. So you do that?
I had. When my kids were in school, I was routinely recruited to go do that. And I mean, so many of the science fair projects it was obvious the parents did it. And the kid was, I don't know what it's about. Ask my mom, kind of thing. Or they did a cross section of a volcano, and they're like, well, that's a nice drawing. Where's the science bit in this? And then there was this one girl, and I wish she had a business card, because I would have kept track of her and hired her as soon as she was eligible to be hired. She did an experiment where she played baseball, I think, or softball, or soccer. I don't remember which, but she was like, how much muscle memory is there for throwing a ball or kicking a ball? And if you play the sport, does that matter?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. So she went and recruited her teammates to do, I think it was soccer, and they kicked the ball at a goal, and then they blindfolded them, and it's same basic setup, kicked the ball at a goal. And the math was, what's the difference between playing on a soccer team versus playing on a baseball team, kicking a soccer ball, how good are you at hitting the target? And then vice versa. She went to the baseball team and recruited a bunch of them and had them throw balls, and then blindfolded them and throw balls, hit a target, and then had them do the soccer balls and vice versa. And she, very basic charts, and it was kind of set up like a hypothesis test, but it didn't need to be. It was all graphical. It was very intuitive. But that wasn't the interesting part. It was that, so this is what you take away from this is, I've already done 3 more experiments. What about this thing? What about that? How does this work? She just immediately learned so much from that first experiment that it was another dozen questions.
Oh, did she continue her experiments?
Oh, yeah.
After she had wrapped up the
the project.
Science fair thing, yeah?
Yeah, even before the science fair, she was already out running more experiments, because she was just, the curiosity spark just got ignited. And that's the hard part, is where does that come from? Because, 2-year-olds will put anything in their mouth because they're expecting, can I eat this? But at some point they lose that, and kids are curious and inquisitive and are just sponges for learning. But I think 5th grade, they still pretty much have it until they're forced to do a science project, and they're not excited about it. But one of my thoughts is that even at an early age, that's where we create engineers.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, I'm also a co-leader for a Girl Scout troop. So I've had training through Girl Scouts, and it's different for each age group. They have 2-year age gaps. And I did learn some skills in helping to develop kids, girls, but I think it applies to boys too.
Hmm.
I help with my son's Boy Scouts too,
Right.
but just allowing them to do it and to not step in, to have them ask a question and then kind of probe a little bit to get them to ask the next question, and trying to be encouraging and helping them to figure out how to do something without doing it for them. And it is difficult, and I catch myself sometimes not doing such a great job at that.
Yeah.
But it's just something that I always try to keep in mind when I'm working with my kids and the other kids too.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. You see it. And I'm quite sure with other parents, so you have to probably, now hold on. This is part of the process. Let them, well, if they do it that way, it's going to not work. This is, well, that's okay.
That's true. Yeah, I have had to do that a couple times. And then I've started to do something and I catch myself.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then I don't know, my family was do-it-yourselfers, so I always had to help.
Hmm.
If I knew how to do something really well, then I could keep doing it because I knew how to do it.
Hmm.
And if I didn't know how to do it, then I had to do it more so that I could get better at it. I never had an excuse to not do something.
Yeah, no, I think
And
that was my father's approach for me
yeah,
mowing the lawn and weeding around the edges. It's like,
yeah,
that's not done yet. Get back out there.
yeah. Or you did a great job. You could do it again next week.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there was a no win for me for that one. Now I have a house that has no lawn whatsoever. I finally succeeded.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's plenty of stuff in that part, but I mean, it starts at an early age. Just let people explore things, the curiosity and fostering that approach and enabling them to pursue questions and pursue ideas. And it's, even later in high school or even later when we get young engineers into a company, it's, yeah, well, what do you think? How are you going to solve that? And that might or might not work, but give them space and permission to not succeed, or permission and space to go figure it out.
Right.
It's, there's, I think it's just well, I don't know if it's toxic or it's evil, but you hire somebody and say, well, you're the expert and I need a solution by Tuesday. And I'm like, I don't, I mean, know what end of this computer is connected to your system, you know? But it's, and then it provides so much expectation that you'll be perfect, or you have a great answer, or you finish this, you create the solution immediately. That I think it stifles the ability for people to take chances or to explore things or whatever. Was it Google that has like a certain percentage of their employees' time is meant to be on their own projects for them to explore and do stuff?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I have heard about that.
I don't know how well that works or if it's done or not, but the idea is that you got to create space for people to play. In business, we don't necessarily call it that, but we'll try it.
Yeah, especially in engineering and in testing and yeah, even manufacturing processes, figuring it out,
Yep.
how to do it and what settings to do. You do need to I like how you put it. You do need to play and just figure things out.
The guys on the shop floor don't like it when you come down there and play with their equipment,
Oh
huh?
yeah, no. I I was interning somewhere where there were conveyor belts
Hmm.
all over the manufacturing floor. I mean, it was hot glass, and then they had to travel on conveyor belts to
Hmm.
cool down. And they wanted to test out a new it was called an air knife. So they used tubes with compressed air to flip these products from one conveyor belt to the other. So
Hmm.
it was cool, and they wanted to try something new. So I was tasked with trying to figure out it. This is my internship now.
Hmm.
Trying to figure out, is it worth it to upgrade their current equipment, their current systems to this new air knife technology? Was it better? Did it save on the compressed air that was used, and did it do a better job?
Hmm.
And they did. I had great managers at my internship, and they did let me play, right?
Hmm.
Uh, this is a very union place, and the people on the shop floor didn't like me to play. So I would, I would stick around and on the second shift, and I would, talk to people and befriend them a little bit, and I'd,
Yeah.
go, take my wrench out of my pocket and adjust something a little bit and make recordings. And they're like, "What are you doing over there?"
Is that a maintenance activity? We got to report that.
So, yeah. So just being able to try new things, but you need a good manager to be able to allow you to do that too. I think engineers, when they're new, they just need a little bit of encouragement that, yeah, you can do that here within reasonable expectations, I suppose.
Yeah, well, there's the safety element. I'm thinking of you with conveyors of hot glass rolling around. That's probably do need to take a caution and pay attention to the safety stuff.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of that, but I agree, is that it's nobody's going to go run the perfect experiment the first time. And even the experimental process, the engineering process or the scientific method is an iterative process where we go, well, let's see if this works, and we'll evaluate it and we'll compare it, or we'll do this or that. But each step of the way is like that young lady that in the science fair, that each step she learned a bunch and had even more questions to go learn some more. And that's where I think the value comes from having an engineer, is somebody that can think through and solve problems in a variety of different ways, which in essence is what engineers do, and create solutions to, can I get this to work better? Is this air knife more efficient than the current system we're using, for example? But somewhere along the line, I think there's a couple of paths that happen. And I'm curious to what you see here is that one of them is there's a right way to do things, and we're going to teach you the right way, which is great when you're adding things or doing long division, right? There is a way. There's more than one way to do long division, apparently, after looking at my kids' homework.
That's another episode.
Yeah. But it's, math and conventions and things that are done to a standard, well, that's the standard, and that's the way we go about doing it. Now, it's a different question, which I think engineers need to have the ability to say, is that the right thing that we should be doing? Is that the right solution for our problem? Just because I can measure it this way, is that the right measurement system, for example? But the idea is that the engineers need to have what children have, is that curiosity and willingness and permission to play. And that gets, stamped out in schools where you need to pass the state test, you need to do this, you need to do that. Here's the criteria in the box that you need to fit in, and there's only one way to do that kind of thing, independent of what you're interested in. And then there's just you're a cog in the wheel in so many occupations and jobs that this is the way you do it. And that's it. Don't ask any questions. Like those union guys going, what are you doing with a wrench?
Yeah.
Stay away from there. But there's different reasons for all these different things. With the role of an engineer, in my mind, is to stay childlike, which I don't know if that's conventional wisdom or not, but I think the best engineers I've ever worked with were just inherently curious, just, childlike curiosity in a good way.
And not afraid to take a look. You're kind of taking a look at what's out there and what are people doing, or how can I reuse or repurpose this thing that exists into something that is useful for this other space over here too. Yeah. Being curious about how things work and how to make it better. Yeah, I agree.
There's also a good solid foundation of, understanding the uses and limits of different material sets or different, IT solution type stuff, or how to do calculations or how to make measurements, the basic process of troubleshooting or failure analysis type activities. I mean, there's so much that we build on that other people have provided. But you hit it on the head there, I think, Dianna, is that we look at it and craft a unique solution or improvement to an existing process or something like that. And that's not done by following the rules. What's always been done. That's not usually a good solution, is to do it the way we've always done it, because I think Einstein said something about it, right? Is that you end up with the same solution. You end up with the
Yeah.
same problems you were trying to solve.
Yeah. Yep. So, in these extracurricular activities, well, like you mentioned, like in school, they're testing and they have to have the right answer, and they do talk about careers and different career paths. But I think if other engineers are active with the younger youth, like in Scouts, or like you were saying, you would do the science fair.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend, he still does the science fair. His kids are graduated and gone, and he's got grandkids now, and he still loves to judge the science fairs
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
talk to the kids and encourage them. I think it's worthwhile and a good thing to do for engineers to just kind of do that little bit of outreach.
Yeah, it's true. And you hear about it with the different engineering societies and groups, and you see more of it with the STEM and teams that are trying to encourage people getting into science and technology. I don't know what it
Oh,
all stands for. Engineering. What's the M stand for? Management?
let me tell you about STEM.
Okay.
Yeah, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Math. Okay.
And then it evolved into STEAM, which science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
Oh.
And now I just saw a scouting activity that elevated it even more to stream, which included a recreational concept to that. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because we were talking about getting kids interested in engineering.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but now we're just gonna try to get them interested in everything all together all at once. I don't know how that's gonna work out.
Well, I'm good with anything that gets them off of Game Boys, you know. Especially the kids that want to come over and do the weeding in my garden. That's I offer that with all the kids in the neighborhood, and I haven't had one take me up on that.
I have neighborhood kids. They say, "Can we weed your garden?"
Really?
Yeah. And then I feel bad. I'm like, "No, that's okay. I'll do it."
Do they want to get paid for it, or are they going to raid your carrot patch or something?
No, no, these are like the one and two, first and second graders.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the
That
difference between a tomato plant and a stem of grass is hard to distinguish sometimes, and I understand now.
But there was a one of the neighbor kids. She was doing a science project, and on social that we went out. Hey, does anybody have extra PVC pipe lying around?
Hmm.
And of course I do. So I invited, yeah, sure, come on down. Like, how long do you need it? Oh, about this long. I said, so about 25 inches? She said, no, 27 and a half. I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty specific. Okay. Um, and just I showed her the handsaw,
Hmm.
and I had one of those things that you put it in so you can direct the saw so you get a square cut.
Oh, a
And
miter box, I think it's called.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It just, showed and had, I started it, and then I said, okay, you take over.
Yep.
You do it.
Yep.
And so I do like to encourage the neighborhood kids too with that, like, or show them what I'm thinking or talk about it as I'm
Hmm.
doing it. And yeah, I do enjoy that. So even just those little things I think can have an effect on a young person.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, and I don't think there's too many fifth graders going to search for Sendo Reliability or a podcast about engineering. Um, I don't. It might be a new branch for the site, is for the younger crowd.
For the youth. But
Yeah,
people in college,
yeah.
uh there's a neighbor girl that she went in for she used to babysit, and she went to college to be a mechanical engineer. And I said,
Oh,
"Hey,
good for her.
that's what I am." So I keep in touch with her once in a while. Say, "Hey,
Hmm.
what are you doing?" And
Yeah.
get
Well,
your
that's perfect.
internship. Yeah.
No, no. Just briefly, my daughter was going into chemistry, for college, and one of my students in a CRE prep class actually was a chemist and a chemical engineer working in a company that makes water purifiers.
Hmm.
And I mentioned that to my daughter, and she goes, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I should talk to her." And it took, I don't know, 2 years before she had enough courage to give her a call or an email or anything. And I'm like, yeah, that, I mean, there's other barriers, and I don't know what the barriers were. I had another, my wife's son, my stepson, when he graduated, he said, "All right, well, now it's time to go look for a job." This is, "Why weren't you talking to all the recruiters that were on site the last 6 months?" And he goes, "Oh, they were just too distracting. I had to pass my test."
Oh, yeah.
So,
You
I
know,
mean,
I talk to my kids about that. Like they're not interested in engineering. At least my older one's not.
mm,
I'm still working on the younger one.
that's right.
She might be. But I said, if you're interested in it, why don't you talk to somebody in it? We have cousins or the neighbor down the street does that thing.
Hmm.
And whenever you ask somebody, "Hey, is it okay if my kid calls you?" They're always they most likely always say yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
they're in their job and they love it and they would love to share it with somebody. Um,
Or they don't like it at all, and it's a good chance to dissuade somebody from getting in this dead end career. You, you
I
got to
never,
do a little checking first.
I, I never thought about that. Yeah.
No, I agree. But part of it is just the idea of, I can ask people about this, and there's all those pieces. So there's part of it, the encouraging and the ongoing part, and fostering the curiosity is all piece of it. But then it's also encouraging people to go talk to folks, go ask them. Go, "Oh yeah, a neighbor of ours is a mechanical engineer. Why don't you go talk to them? They'll give you a different perspective than what I have, and you can compare. Let me know what you think is different, and whatever." But the overall idea is that you know I guess we're biased a little bit here, Diana. We're both engineers, so
I know we both love it, right? You
yeah.
you do stuff with I fix my furnace and my microwave, and I know
Oh, you got to come
you
on over.
you've been doing stuff at your
Oh
house.
yeah, definitely. But it's seeing kids want to get into it, and then it's like watching one of my kids graduate at Cal Poly, in the humanities and arts schools was 2/3 of the population, graduate students, and the science and engineering math group was a third, and then just my daughter was graduating. It was chemistry. It was like, well, there's 20 of them,
Oh, wow.
out of this, couple thousand student population of graduates. I'm like, there's just something wrong here. Why? But anyway, that's probably a topic for a whole nother day. But I think it starts, as we started this episode with, is it starts very early, is to keep that encouragement going all the way through. And then even when they get hired. And I don't mind a little encouragement along the way too, even
Yeah.
where I'm at now. So I don't think that ever ends. And I think the idea though, is that it's also true in any discipline. I can't imagine that having curiosity is a bad thing for somebody in marketing, as they're exploring different venues or colors or options to improve the marketability of their product or whatever. Not that I
Yeah,
know
or
anything about it.
even learning all the new technology for how they can get market data.
Yeah.
That's also that's changing a lot too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I guess that's a general growth mindset kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to solve it, but if somebody's listening to this and has an idea or some other tips to help encourage people to get into engineering or to maintain their interest in it, if nothing else, let us know. Head over to accendoreliability.com/go. Well, yeah, /go/SOR. And you can leave us a voice message or a written message, and you can contact Diana or I or any of the hosts of the show. And we're all on LinkedIn, and and our about pages on Ascendo have contact information. So lots of ways for you to get in touch. And if you've got a success story or have seen, ways that, especially 16-year-olds, which seem untouchable, at least in my own experience.
No, I've got a 15 3/4 year old, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
heading into that's why I'm laughing.
So but I don't know, maybe somebody that's good with reverse psychology could give us a few tips or something. But anyway, if you got a question or a topic or some other idea of topic you'd like us to talk about, please let us know. Head over to, I gave you all that information. So thanks for chatting with us. I had no idea, Dianna, your older one was almost 16. So
We're going to be learning how to drive.
Oh, new challenge. Yeah.
Physics and mechanics, right?
Yeah. The hardest part I found about that was spatial awareness.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
You know where that's going, right?
Yes.
But I mean, one thing I did, and this is completely off the topic of her, was my daughter she just could not figure out how to get the car between the lines in a parking lot. And it was that spatial awareness. Where is the car around me kind of thing? So we went to this big empty parking lot and I said, right, see those two lines right there? Park there. And she'd park and right, stop. Now get out of the car, put the brakes on, leave it, put it in park. Now go outside and look. How close are you to the lines in different places? All right, now let's try it again. In different spots and different lighting and different angles and going forward and going backing into it and stuff like that. And it was a couple of hours. But then she could do it. But it was just until she got into a different car, and then she had no idea where the car was anymore. But
well, that was probably useful and helpful, and she'll probably have a horror story when she's a little bit older, talking about when she grew up.
Yeah, there is that too. Yeah.
That's also a parent's job.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. I hope it all works out. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a new episode for the show.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. All right. Well, thanks so much, Dianna. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to Speaking of Reliability. We invite you to join the conversation. If you have a question or a topic that you think we should discuss in a future show, please let us know. You can find a comment box below the episode show notes, or just leave a note as part of a review on iTunes.